when it works. The scene is set inside the car, a nondescript limousine sent to the hotel via Mr. Silas. Jan Peterson and Mr. Peck in brand new, straightly laundered suits. A little ill-fitting and perhaps not in a palette that they're used to, are being driven across the city towards the Penthouse Bar to report to the Prince. Jan is rather pensive and quiet over the rather visceral death of Dupin. Siegfried has vanished like smoke into the shadows once again, for whatever means no one could really know. And the two men stare at each other for a while.
This pack actually is looking rather, I would say cheerful, but not particularly hit by the loss. As a reference, I got Humanity 3. So, yeah, we're going to report to the Prince how to do. But he knows that Matt observed that Jan Peterson is definitely, well, at least hurt by the incident, if not distraught, so he'll tactically keep his mouth shut.
It'll be a long journey with the two, not really making any small talk. One going over the events of the night over and over again in his head and seeing how would he wish it to have gone any differently? Did he really wish it to go there? What would have happened if he had stepped in? All those maybes, all those whats, all those, is this for the best? Or perhaps I should have done something. Until eventually the two get in the Penthouse Bar. Once they arrive, the security and all the detail has already been informed of their arrival. And they have a nice ushered through all the various levels of security, with only a brief scan to make sure that they don't have tracking devices on them or listening devices on them, and get into the office of what is now the Prince of New York.
Jan will enter and rather formally bow before the Prince.
Mr. Peck will repeat the exact same thing, formally bowing, following the perfect etiquette.
Yes, Mr. Peck, Jan Peterson, pleasure to see you. I have my people working away for the cleanup front. They should be done within the hour, and no one will ever be no the wiser that there was an incident in that room. What happened?
Apologies for the rather messy scene, Mr. Silas. It was not expected. But the good news is that the traitor Dupin is now dead.
How? What? Oh, okay. I sense there's a report behind this, so let me just. You're not looking too good, Peter Zoom. Would you care for anything I can provide you?
He motions to speak, and then sags a little. No, thank you, Mr. Silas. I am absolutely fine, knowing full well that Mr. Silas will not have his blood on hand, nor will he ask for it.
Peck, would you care for a beverage? In which case, why don't the two of you take a seat and catch me up on the night's events then?
This evening I had a means to confront Dupin, to be able to locate whether it was in fact the Ventrue traitor or an imposter. I went upon a secure location at which I used the powers of the blood to summon. The gentleman in question that turned up was a Ryan Higgs, which was drawn for us by, I believe, the Bruhar, but likes to prefer to be called Limey.
I'm familiar with that picture. I went up against that individual when I went to rescue Green. He's the one that killed the Assamite.
I soon conversed with this individual, noting the fact that he was Sabbat affiliated, and through the discourse it became exceedingly clear to me that this was in fact a flesh-crafted disguise, and that the gentleman in question was Jonathan Dupont.
I see.
He was apprehended, and taking more damage than I care to admit, I took him to a secure location in which Frederick was there to keep watch over the torpid body of the Sabbat traitor. I then called in the assistance of Mr. Peck to help us interrogate. After a few sessions of Mr. Peck working within Dupont's mind, it became clear we needed more exact information. And so we woken him and asked him some poignant questions. During the interrogation, he frenzied, at which point it became clear that the situation was almost about to go out of hand, at which Frederick disposed of Mr. Dupont.
Well, the city of New York extends its gratitude to you, Peter Zoon. Well, I do not take much pride in the passing of Maurice Dupont. It is good that that loose end has been tied off. Unfortunately, I'm going to always remember Voorhees, that individual that helped me reclaim Oz, that helped me get situated in the city, and now he's gone. Don't quite know what to say.
He was led astray. The death of his sire had sent him to a downward spiral towards the beast, in which the Sabbat took advantage. I believe his mind was poisoned by that of the Voldery. Such a change in loyalties could only be explained due to one.
Yes, that is what I've been theorizing. It's a shame to lose one so promising, and I doubt we'll see one like him for many a year, if ever again. I owe you a boon, Jan Peter Zoon, for the service that you've done for me.
Very generous, my prince. I only did what was necessary for the Camarilla. It only pains me that we could not take Dupont back to the mother country to extract more secrets from him.
Yes. Well, there's one thing that the clan Nosferatu and the clan Ventrue have always been able to see eye to eye on, and that's on the importance of family. So at least it's good that his aim came as a result of your actions rather than someone else's. I think it's more appropriate.
We venture on nothing without our pride, Mr. Silas. He says, and there's a sardonic grin barely touching his face before it fades again.
On to the business of the matter. There was a short amount of interrogation before he broke loose and frenzied. I assume he broke loose, or else he would have been torn to pieces.
Indeed. What information we did gather was little, but perhaps can be given to more use with further investigation. The pack within the city comprises of 6 individuals named by DuPont that he knows, not including himself. One by the name of Vicar, Clan Bruja, Simon, who was a Malkavian, Louis, who was a Serpent of the Light, Arthur, another Bruja, a gentleman who calls himself Yo-Yo, believed to be a Gangrel, and one that DuPont would only mention as Old Man, who appeared to be the leader. DuPont knew very little of this gentleman.
I'm familiar a bit with that gentleman. He messed around with us when we were attempting to go after Green. I remember an old rasping voice, the type that claws inside your mind and tries to dissuade you from your course of action.
A worthwhile foe, one that should not be underestimated. But from his description, it is not any Priscus or Bishop I have come up against so far.
I'm afraid I might be behind on some of their side learning of these other bloodlines. I'm not familiar with what a Serpent of the Light is.
I can only guess some sort of Setite. But that is conjecture.
Well, I happen to have access to one of our more prestigious scholars. Oh, did I forget to tell you, Mr. Peterson? It might actually be worth going and having a chat with Rose. How are you with sign language?
I haven't practiced it in a while.
Excellent. I think Rose might have to give you a reintroduction to her new teacher, Dr. Softly.
Dr. Softly has been killed, Mr. Silas.
And still remains dead, yet is still around.
Jan twitches. He is not has the mental fortitude to try and deny Mr. Silas the existence of ghosts just yet.
I thought Jan actually didn't mind the existence of ghosts since we can actually prove that.
Possibly. It's just too much for him to think about at the moment.
Okay, let's not overstress. Either way, we might have to organize that at a later date. I think you might find that type of endeavor might take your mind off things a bit.
Other than the individuals in question, there were only 2 locations given. Fort Wadsworth, who said it was their main stronghold guarded by ghouls, traps, kine.
I'm quite familiar with it.
And an old quaint house with a picket fence in Staten Island.
That might need some investigation.
Yes. He was most elusive with the questioning. We were going to probe him further, but he figured out a way to get through the Dominate and uses his beast to shield him.
I see. Well, you get enough people working on the task, you can eliminate everything that is impossible until the only thing that is left is the answer.
At least it shows that our enemies are not as numerous as we first assumed.
Too many knights dealing with the other Sabbat incursions, and everyone has gotten to the point that we feel that the next one is always going to be the next big push. I think six we can deal with, even with if they get reinforcements. We're gathering our strength. I think we can hold Manhattan. Removing them from Staten Island, it's going to be difficult. I believe it's within our power.
Enough daylight raids on these various locations will whittle them down, or at least keep them boxed in.
Keep them boxed in, keep them weak, keep them moving from place to place, stop them growing roots, stop them being able to gather momentum, keep them on the back foot. An enemy that is constantly in retreat cannot fight. I believe those were your words, actually, when I first arrived in the city.
It is good to see that you are taking my lessons to heart, Mr. Silas.
Well, you're welcome to have another crack at a chess match against me. I've been practicing.
Being in power does mean one has little time to practice social activity. Mr. Peck, what did you glean from DuPont's mind?
It was clearly that Mr. DuPont, or Mr. Hicks, as we now know him to be, was a student of destruction, death, gore and blood. Murder was in his mind, was on his mind, and the death that surrounded it constantly. As the Moment Supreme was where he knew he was defeated by you, which occupied his mind.
I suspect it was the way he did not see the confrontation heading. Or perhaps it was exactly what he wanted.
He was, I think, more ready for death than we all anticipated.
The old Viking way was to constantly seek the next greatest challenge until it eventually kills you.
I wouldn't give it so much honor in thought, but I guess the gesture counts when you think of it.
Well, Voorhees was quite a lot like the Norsemen of old. So, what would you like done with his remains, Peterson?
Sent to Hartstadt.
It shall be done.
It appears the Sabbat are on a infiltration and subversion mission. According to DuPont, they have a few targets already approached. Limey, Rose. DuPont even said Mr. Peck, but I assume that was just to rattle our cages. How far they've got in their subversion, I don't know. This Limey, who has been approached by the Sabbat, may be the most troubled.
Might be the most troubled, especially after that mission against him, but he's proven his worth, and he did come out about that in our last council meeting. So I still think there's plenty of worth to be found in that one.
As you say, this pack is insidious. They wish to worm their way into the Camarilla and turn us against each other.
Makes them considerably more dangerous than all the previous ones we've been dealing with. It's a very different type of enemy, though. The Sausage King was all quite easy. Find them, fight. They would come and find us, fight. Eventually, we managed to catch them off guard and slowly crush them, whittle their strength, bleed them dry until they did not have enough support to be able to withstand us. These, they're different, they're smarter. We'll make sure that they're not underestimated.
Well, if that is all, my prince, I would like to retire for the evening.
Yes, of course. I'll have a driver waiting to take you wherever you require. Mr. Peck, thank you very much for your assistance. Do you require a lift or do you have your own way?
My van is still at the hotel. I'll need to get the van tomorrow. If you can offer a lift back to the restaurant, I would be grateful.
Excellent. And while you're at it, Mr. Silas is going to go to the side bit and he's going to pull out one of his blueprints that he's spent the last several months making. And pass this tube over to Mr. Peck. Something that I was designing for an idea around an Elysium. Have a look and tell me what you think after you've had a chance to study it.
I will do as soon as I can. I have my own ideas, of course, as well as I have a already fully waiting operational Elysium waiting for approval. I did it. I made it above the restaurant. Nobody knows about it, just you, me, and Mr. Peterson. I made it to make sure that the Camarilla had a way to hide out when places were compromised. Now you three know, and I know you all are, of course, loyal to the Camarilla.
I'll look forward to having a visit to have a look at what you have put together.
Feel free, you're always welcome in the boiler room.
Well, thank you very much. I'll have cars waiting for you down below. You've given me much to think about.
This night given us all much to think about. New starts, new beginnings, but also we need to finish up some things that are now loose.
Beginnings and endings are always very tricky things.
But let us
And with that, I believe we shall call this scene to a close. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time.